Thank you. And the next question is, how is production planning going for the Cybertruck? What is the initial phase 1 production target? When can we expect an update on pricing and final design?
I mean, as Elon said earlier, we've begun facilities preparations here in Giga, Texas for Cybertruck. We're still on track to enter early production in the middle of next year. We started our beta builds of all of the battery and existing.
When can I drive my beta? That's the question.
In a few weeks.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And that's going well. We continue ramping up through the end of next year and into 2023.
Good. Yeah, the car's gonna be sick. That's gonna be a Hall of Famer, next level. Sorry it took it longer than expected, but there were a few things that got in the way, like insane global supply chain shortages and pandemics. Sure. Force majeures if there ever was one.
All right, thank you.
Of course, Tesla Semi, of course. So we'll be handing over our first production Tesla Semis to Pepsi on December 1st. I'll be there in person. And we'll begin ramping up production of the Tesla Semi, which is a max load heavy truck.
Yeah, that's the Class 8 truck.
Class 8 truck.
No sacrifice to cargo capacity.
Yeah, no sacrifice. Exactly. Very important. No sacrifice to cargo capacity. 500-mile range. Just be clear, right?
500 miles with the cargo.
500 miles with the cargo on level ground. Yeah, fair. It's not up. A cliff. But the point is, it's a long-range truck, and even with heavy cargo. And the number of times people told me, "Oh, you can't. It's impossible to make a long-range, heavy-duty Class 8 truck." And then I asked, well, what are your assumptions about watt-hour per kilogram and watt-hours per mile? And they would look at me with a blank stare and then say hydrogen. I'm like, no, that's not the answer. I was looking for numbers. And look at me. That's not a number. It's an element on the periodic table. Anyway, you obviously don't need hydrogen for heavy trucking. That's what we're trying to make here. And we'll be ramping up semi-production through next year. As like everyone knows at this point, it takes about a year to ramp up production. So we expect to see significant. We're tentatively aiming for 50,000 units in 2024 for Tesla Semi in North America, and obviously we'll expand beyond North America. And these would sell. I don't want to say what sacrifices, but they're much more than a passenger vehicle. So the 50,000 heavy trucks of this nature would be worth several Model Ys.
Thanks once again for joining us. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. If you enjoy the show, please take time to like and subscribe. If you'd like some tips on better investing and trading, please join us on Patreon as well. Today I wanted to, as you just heard, the clip of Elon speaking came from the earnings announcement, and there were a series of questions that were posed by the analyst. And as you heard, Elon is a little bit in the dark on where the Cybertruck is currently, because he's currently waiting for the beta version of the truck. So we wanted to just take this opportunity to roll through in general information that we can glean from what he said. The biggest and loudest message that I got from his comment was the Cybertruck will happen this year, and it hasn't been canceled, and it won't be postponed for another year. So I actually think this is really good news, because I believed that the longer or the more delays we got, the higher the likelihood that we end up with the vehicle possibly being canceled, much to the chagrin of many who are waiting for it. As you know, there's at least 2 million people who've put their $100 down, and the orders have been closed, but there's such a long backlog that it was de facto closed a while ago. So I was kind of surprised at Elon's response on the Cybertruck, given that it's such an important vehicle. I was impressed with the volume of information provided on where we are with the numbers, even production numbers on the Semi, and we're not getting any substantive information on a truck currently. The next thing that popped up for me was the fact that Elon has not driven or hasn't been sort of hands into the process of the beta version of the Cybertruck. And I have to say that he is obviously very busy, obviously court cases, obviously Twitter. There's a lot going on. I guess prior to 6 months ago, Elon had a process where every Thursday he would land, the helicopter would fly away from San Jose Airport to the Fremont factory so that he could work with sort of advanced vehicles. For example, the super versions of all the cars and SUVs, as well as, take a look at how production and progress were going in that facility. And sort of given the split of time now with Germany as well as the Austin factory, it seems that the schedule has slipped a little bit, but the current Twitter purchase puts him in the Bay Area a lot more. So I would think maybe that schedule is shifting around depending on other obligations. So the next thing I wanted to review is locations of Tesla's activities. It totally made sense for the design center to sit in Los Angeles because it sits next to the headquarters of SpaceX, so that Elon could work between the companies, by just walking between buildings. And now we're in an interesting situation where Austin is gathering itself to become the largest facility in the Tesla constellation, and it's maybe 100 miles away from sort of the semi-new headquarters of SpaceX, because kind of where Elon is sort of the headquarters. So even though there are large staff counts in Los Angeles to address the primary headquarters of where SpaceX is, it seems as though part of the selection of Austin was its proximity to everything going on at Boca Chica relative to SpaceX. So it'll be interesting to see when they make this change, because if in fact Elon is proximate to the sort of build out of the new Cybertruck beta version, he can have more of an impact right away, and it shortens the time, because if they choose to finish and he hasn't been hands into the changes being made to complete the vehicle, we could have weeks or months added to the process of the vehicle being completed and delivered. I was also thinking about the fact that I found it very strange, one of the good things about Elon's management process is that, based on his being not hands-in this case, there can be a signal that the management team / Elon's process of running the company really puts the onus on really smart people to make good decisions in terms of what they're going to do, but it also creates an environment where he doesn't necessarily have to be there for every decision, because once they've set the global direction of where they're going to go, he will get involved with the details, but he can line up those general details and not be there. And so this also highlights, I think, what he pointed out earlier, is that there's a lot of concern about what if something happens to Elon and how will the company move forward. And sort of the core logic that he's laid down is being executed well by managers, and he's free to tweak, but they in fact have a plan and they're working that plan. I was further intrigued by what I heard between him and the management team member that's hands in on the Cybertruck, that there's no worry about the completion time. The teammate indicated that early deliveries would happen midsummer, and Elon was at the same time we were being briefed on what the time frame was for execution of the vehicle. So I guess I thought this was kind of interesting, because I kind of felt like he would be sort of confirming when the vehicle would be arriving, rather than him finding out at the same time that we're finding out in the middle of an analyst meeting. The next thing that I wanted to review is something that's called cold weather trials. So, as you know, Tesla has a process of running their vehicles hard in this summer weather as well as the winter weather prior to release. And it's my feeling that the cold weather trials are one of the key elements of showing that a vehicle is about to be delivered. So in theory, we're in the 6-ish week zone for the beta that represents the closest thing to a finished vehicle to occur. And then Elon being able to drive that and confirm, his feeling about everything that's happening. And then, it's my belief that at least 2, maybe 3 vehicles end up being shipped into places where cold weather can get a hold of it and see how it performs in that environment, as well as, running them hard in hot weather situations at the same time. So for me, I actually thought that there would be a crash test that, with NHTSA that would determine, when we're close to the release of this vehicle. But I actually read that crash tests are optional, not mandatory, which surprised me, and that would have been my signal that we're about to see the vehicle happen. So that's not the case, hence I'm pulling back to the tried and true process Tesla has relative to the hot and cold weather trials being a better indicator of we're 3 to 5 months away from the vehicle launching. So in general, the vehicle will happen. I believe it actually will happen this year, even if the numbers are low. And it seems as though we may not get another 1-year delay. But as Elon indicated, some of the pandemic issues and supply issues it generated was part of the reason why the vehicle was delayed. But exciting times. I definitely see it impacting the stock once it's known that we're going to start seeing production happen. As you've seen, the new IDRA machine is being installed to be able to press the entire vehicle out in one shot in the Austin facility. So hopefully that thing is up in the next month or 2, so we can actually see some production in late spring, headed for early deliveries in the summer. As you can see, there's a lot of updates that are driven by what we actually learn from what's said to analysts during meetings, and we're kind of stuck in that mode of optimizing information flow, because Elon definitely prioritizes what he says to the Chinese government, but in terms of having staff to manage the press activities, obviously not a priority for him relative to what's going on at Tesla. This is a sidebar note just to end here, and that is that I was very surprised at the volume of laughing Elon did, probably sort of joking with staff and laughing was probably 5% of the time. And I just thought that was really strange, given that on other earnings calls, we typically don't get that much joviality from him, resulting in a lot of laughter. And so I'm wondering if this means he's really comfortable and happy with it, where everything is and it's going, or it could be the opposite. We don't know. But I guess it's another data point we can add to the list of, what does Elon do and how does that potentially affect what's going on with the company, and therefore all aspects of how the thing will perform. At any rate, this is Greg for Teslafaninsight. I wanted to note that our health tip today is coming from our sleep research, which is to encourage you to try to maintain a sleep schedule for 2 weeks, same sleep and wake time even on weekends, as a way to sort of generate a circadian rhythm for your body, that the norm of that circadian rhythm facilitates better rest over time. At any rate, we look forward to your comments on all of this. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Tschüss, au revoir, lehitarot, Khoda Hafez, Здравствуйте, Russian, Ni hao ma, Chinese, Konbanwa, Japanese, Hey do, Swedish, Arrivederci. And in Jamaica we say, enough respect, man. Have a great day, and bye for now.